Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show. Checking the pulse of Husker Nation, brought to you by DPS Concrete Construction. Check them out at net. Also, CarrikerChronicles.com. Ladies and gentlemen, it's just science. It's where all your Husker sports hopes and dreams will come true. This is my gut reaction to Rocco Spindler committing to the University of Nebraska. Also, Dylan Raiola. I've seen a lot of top returning quarterback in the country list, and I haven't seen him listed on anyone, anywhere. He played more football, threw more passes, started more games than any other true freshman in the country. Quick thoughts on that. Okay, and also no spring game. And tampering, for the love of all, it's holy, tampering and no spring game. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a loaded Carriker Chronicles a show, but if you're like me and you believe that we now at least appear, we'll see how it all unfolds, appear to have a solid starting interior offensive line, with competition that will happen and depth on the interior offensive line, smash that like button. We got Justin Evans-Jenkins, Rocco Spindler, Henry Letufsky, the three projected starters. Now I know Letufsky is going to miss the spring with injuries, but you got Grant Bricks, highly recruited, one of the top, most highly recruited linemen coming in out of his recruiting class in the entire country a year ago. Preston Tamua, the top-rated offensive lineman coming out of Hawaii. He was 320 the day he walked on campus, a 4-star. Okay, both those guys are ready to start battling, right, for starting jobs, adding depth, all right, within the interior of this offensive line. They're both guards, all right? And if you haven't done so yet, as always, you know the drill. Make sure you subscribe, ring that notification bell. Just a heads up, make sure you keep an eye out. On Tuesday, 6 p.m. on YouTube, 7 p.m. on the social medias, I'm going to be interviewing Grant Wistrom, one of the greatest to ever do it here at the University of Nebraska. Don't miss that interview. I interviewed Sean Callahan next week. I'll be interviewing all sorts of Husker greats throughout this offseason. Amon Green, et cetera, et cetera. Actually, I want to make a big announcement. The first ever Carriker Chronicles football camp is officially going to be happening on Wednesday, July 9th. Eric Crouch is committed to be there. I'm going to be there. I'm talking with Grant Wistrom about being there. Amon Green about potentially being there. Eric is locked in. I'm locked in. The odds are pretty good some of these other guys are going to be there, and I'm talking to more Husker legends as well. We will make an official announcement as to when you can start registering here in the near future for the Carriker Chronicles football camp on Wednesday, July 9th. Officially, I can tell you I will be there. Eric Crouch will be there. And like I said, I'm talking to Wistrom, Amon Green, other guys about being there as well. It's going to be awesome. Now let's talk about Rocco Spindler. First of all, I love going live. Some of your questions, some of your thoughts, your comments, your concerns, otherwise. Okay. And I want to be interactive with you fine folks here. This show is going to go probably about 20, 25 minutes, typical Carriker Chronicles type show. All right, but Rocco Spindler off the top. Now, why? I haven't done a gut reaction to too many guys who've come to Nebraska through the transfer portal. I think I did one for Dane Key, who I believe will be our top wide receiver coming in. And my Lord, did we need wide receiver help? I don't know that I've done it for too many others. Not a specific player, overall videos, but a specific player. Why Rocco? Now, am I sitting here saying he's going to be the best guard in the Big Ten? No, here's why I did this, though. First of all, he was a 4-star coming out of high school, a top 100 player in the country. This is a guy who started 23 games, University of Notre Dame, played over 1,300 snaps. And I believe during that whole over 1,300 snaps, only allowed 2 sacks. And this past season played 763 snaps total and only allowed a few pressures. 325 pounds, physical offensive line. We got a returning starting quarterback. We know who our guy is for once, because he should have been the guy the whole time last season. But now it's Emmett Johnson at running back. We got wide receivers all over the place now. Dane Key, Isaiah Hunter, Ja'Cory Barney, Cortez Mills, all these guys. Hardly Gilmore coming in. Tight end, Heinrich Harburg, Carter Nelson, Luke Lindenmeyer. And actually some other guys coming off injury you might want to keep an eye on in that tight end room as well. It's been the offensive line. We haven't had a consistent offensive line for far too long. And then you've got guys like Turner Corcoran banged up, and Teddy, he's having a hamstring in surgery on top of his season-ending surgery last year. Teddy Prohaska is trying to come back from a knee surgery. And Letufsky is going to be out this spring. But you've got guys like Letufsky and Justin Evans-Jenkins and Gunnar Gatula, who started last year. But it's like, man, we've got, and Elijah Pritchett, who we obviously brought in. But you see all these things, it's like, man, we need more bodies. We need more depth. We need more proven good players. We need legit competition. I feel good about our interior offensive linemen now, those 3. Now, I want to be clear. Just because you are brought in through the transfer portal, you still got to earn your job. I mean, it's fair to expect Rocco to start, but he's still got to earn that job. And Matt Rhule even said the guys who get paid the most money, hey, they're going to get more benefit of the doubt, and they should. But you still got to earn jobs, to be clear. But as I see it, and as we hope it plays out, and it should play out, but we'll see who earns these jobs. You got Justin Evans-Jenkins. Maybe he moves to center. He started games at guard and center in the past. Maybe Rocco. I've heard people say maybe he could go to center. But anyways, let's say Justin Evans-Jenkins at center, Rocco Spindler at guard. You got Henry Latufsky coming back after the spring, healthy from that surgery, fully recovered at guard. And then interior, you got Grant Bricks, you got Preston Tamur. You got guys that are young, talented. You got guys you feel good about starting, guys who've with a ton of starting experience. Latufsky, Justin Evans-Jenkins, and Rocco Spindler, ton of experience starting. You got young, talented guys coming up. I feel good about the interior offensive line right now. You look at the offensive tackles, and I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, but the offensive line was a gigantic question mark. Okay, we needed guys to come in. That's why we've gone after so many. We've had a hard time trying to officially get them to come. It's one reason it's a big deal that Rocco's coming, because of what it helps with the offensive line as a whole. But I'll just be blunt. The offensive line, to me, was the position, I say this with all due respect, I was the most disappointed in a year ago. We had fifth most experienced offensive line in the country, highly recruited guys, big guys, and we just didn't put a whole season together. We're not consistent. Wisconsin game was phenomenal, but that was really the only consistent game we had for 4 full quarters. And again, we're very up and down. If we can be much better up front, have depth, have competition, have proven starters who play well and are consistent, everything else will exponentially get better and increase, and our offense will immediately be better. Our defense will be better because they won't be put in tough positions. As you see kids running around in the background, I've got like 3 people's kids visiting, plus my 6 kids at home right now. I made them go outside so it wouldn't be too noisy. It was chaotic right before I started this video. Such is the life, and I'm happy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to get to some of your questions. Let me know your questions, your thoughts, your comments, your concerns. All right. Everyone just seems happy he's coming. If you got questions, send them in. All right. Lauren, I hope I'm saying that right, says O-line has been in the weak link for years. Quarterback play 2 years ago. O-line last year. It's a big addition. Okay, and as I look projecting the starting offensive line, everything's got to be earned. I'd say Justin Evans-Jenkins at center. Started for 2 years, going on year 3 for us now. Henry Latufsky has been starting games on and off for 2 to 3 years for us now. Rocco Spindler comes in, highly recruited, 325 pounds, big dude, lots of starting experience. You look at the tackle. Elijah Pritchett probably going to start at left tackle, I would assume. That's where he started for Alabama. Now, the highest ceiling of any offensive lineman we have, also the most inconsistent lineman Alabama had last year. Can Dylan Raiola get him to just be consistent? You can't be great until you can be good, and you can't be good until you're consistent. His talent is through the roof, but can we just be consistent first, especially at left tackle? Okay, maybe Gunnar Gatula goes to right. The only thing I'm in my head now, I'm like, we need another offensive tackle to step up, whether it's a guy we already have, whether it's another transfer guy. Okay, and we're over 130 guys on the roster at the moment. We got to get down to 105 by August, basically, when camp starts. So we probably will add another guy or 2 in this transfer portal class. But there's going to be a lot of guys through attrition that just have to go. It is the way it is. But another offensive tackle's got to step up. Because right now, I mean, Elijah Pritchett's talented, and I'm obviously rooting for him, but he's not consistently proven. Gunnar Gatula stepped in as a true freshman last year and did very admirably. But he's not like uberly proven either, although his ceiling is through the roof. He's going to be an NFL player one day, to be clear. But as a young guy, like at tackle, we're like, all right, I feel good on the inside at tackle. I need to see these guys be more consistent, which they both absolutely can be, and I hope we do see. Just haven't seen it yet, and Gunnar's only going to be a sophomore. Okay, but then what about depth? What about competition? Things of that nature. But I feel really good about the interior offensive line. Okay, right here, right now. And Douglas Cody says Rocco will probably end up at center, and I've heard that multiple places. Justin Evans-Jenkins could go to center or guard. Rocco, from what I'm being told, can play guard or could go to center as well. Either way, I'm good with it. Those are my thoughts on the potential starters in the offensive line, how I feel about the specific spots on the offensive line. Feel good about the interior 3, especially when you add in Grant Bricks, Preston from Hawaii, who's now a true freshman ready to play as well. Redshirt freshman ready to play as well. I'd like a little bit more solidity. I just made up that word, and I'm going to roll with it. Solidity at the offensive tackle spot. All right, I want to get into my thoughts on Dylan not being on some of these top returning quarterback lists in the country. All right. And then no spring game and tampering. For the love of all that's holy. It's illegal. It's happening. Everybody knows it. And we just accept it. But I digress. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I am extremely excited about the Carriker Chronicles football camp July 9th. And we are going to have some absolute freaking legends at that camp. And I'll keep you updated as we go along. At some point, we'll officially be open for registrations. But for now, I'll just keep updating you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, DPS Concrete Construction. They do phenomenal concrete work, retaining wall work. All right, especially if you're in the Omaha metro area. This is where they're specifically located, but they can do work anywhere. Go to dpsconstruction.net. And now I've kind of alluded to this. Jason Armstrong, the owner of DPS Concrete Construction, he owns several businesses, and we're going to start promoting a lot more of them because I'll just be honest. If this is the line of work you do, you want to work for a guy like this. You want to be a part of what he's doing. So I'll bring you more information on that in the future as well. Also, Allen Capital Group. AllenCapGroup.com. It's ALLENCAP Group.com. They have offices in Ogallala, Grand Island, Omaha, and I was recently told Scotts Bluff as well. They have next level solutions for next level needs. They truly are really good at what they do. They're really smart. They're really intelligent. They have great integrity. You can trust these people, and there's nothing on planet Earth you want in the hands of people that you can trust more than your family's freaking finances. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and keep sending in your questions, comments, thoughts, concerns. Keith Alexander, who do we like long snapping? Now, we already brought in a long snapper, FCS All-American. Okay, he's going to be here. We've already, our long snapping issues as long as what we believe he can be. Like you look at the PFF long snapping grades, which yes, they do have. I mean, he's one of the top long snappers in the entire country, regardless of FBS, FCS, or whatever the case may be. He's now at Nebraska. Jack McAllister is projected to be our starting punter. Okay, we got two kickers that are going to be battling it out for the starting kicking job, and that's going to be a fun job, a fun battle to watch throughout spring ball and going forward as well. All right. Gene Leidig says, building from the inside out, Spindler is a road grader. He is. He's a monster. He's physical. We need to be able to run the ball better next year. It's great that we got speed on the edges. It's great that we have a returning starting quarterback. If we can run the ball on top of take advantage of Holgerson's offense and the ability to pass the ball, it's going to be very dangerous for opponents that have to play Nebraska. And they haven't had to say that about our offense in a long time. It's been far too long. All right. Keep sending your questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, or otherwise. So I'm just going to show you one. This is from On3. I've seen, I don't know, about 5 of these, but it's the top returning quarterbacks in the country. Okay. And I didn't expect to see Dylan, in the top 3 or 5, or maybe even on some of these lists, but I haven't seen him on any. And to be clear, I'm not saying this is controversial. Like, oh my God, Dylan's not on these. Like, Nebraska starts winning more games, more of our players in general are going to be on more lists. I'm not sitting here like, oh my gosh, this is so disrespectful. This is terrible. How could this be? I don't think it's a huge deal. I also don't think it's a nothing burger, because if I'm Dylan and I see this, I have to be motivated. I have to be. No other true freshman in the country, as I said earlier, played as many games, started as many games, played as many snaps, or threw as many passes as him. You would think at least one of these lists would have him on there. And to be clear, this isn't some mega deal, but I thought it was just briefly, I didn't lead the show off with this because Rocco's the headliner, but I thought it was just worth chatting about. Okay, Sam Levitt of Arizona State's number 1 on this list, then Drew Aller, then DJ Lagway, who was a stud at Florida, by the way. Arch Manning obviously is on this list. Lenoris Sellers. I mean, those top 5 are game-changing type players. Lenoris Sellers, watch South Carolina next year. Oh my, he was the difference in so many games for South Carolina where they could have lost last year. They ended up winning. Garrett Nussmeier, in my humble opinion, at LSU, with all due respect, is overrated. Carson Beck, don't even know if he can throw a football next year just yet, but he's number 7 at Miami. Cade Klubnik, who's going to be really good. John Mater, and Nico Iamaleava. I had to practice saying that name a lot. That is a talented dude right there. But he was a redshirt freshman last year back as a sophomore. So if I'm Dylan, again, this isn't some big slight. This isn't some insane, disrespectful thing. But for me, it's got to be motivating. Like, I was a 5-star. I was one of the top recruits in the entire country. I was number 1 in my class for a very lengthy period of time. Okay. My question is this. If I'm Dylan, I see this, I'm motivated. Can he go from being the quarterback to being the guy? Because there were several times last year where fans were starting to get, they understood what I was saying. He's a young guy, he's a true freshman, never know what you're going to get. I'm not going to be hard on him. After about halfway through the season, I had some fans be like, no, he's a 5-star. He's highly recruited. He should be playing better. And I'm like, he's 19. He's a true freshman. You're getting exactly what I thought we might get, which is very up and down. Okay. He had, 13 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. There was one point where he had 9 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. I think after 6 games when we were 5-1. All right. But I said I just wanted to complete over 60% of his passes, have a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. It wasn't quite 2-to-1. Touchdown interception ratio, but he completed 67% of his passes and then just do what it takes to move the chains. I think Dana Holgerson's going to be great for him, but the question is, now it's year 2. Now it's different. I mean, I got no problem with the fact, that he wants to galvanize people. You see him at the basketball games and he's trying to galvanize people. You see him courtside. You see him running to the fans after the bowl game. That irritated some people. I don't know. Everyone's different, to each their own, as long as the play on the field matches the excitement level and the intention off. Can he go from being the quarterback to being the guy? All right, 5 of the top 6 preseason favorites to win the national title next year have new quarterbacks. The only one who doesn't have a new quarterback is Penn State. And the way I see it, okay, there's been guys who've gone from school to school and they played really well. Jalen Hurts went from Bama to Oklahoma. Caleb Williams went from Oklahoma to USC and won the freaking Heisman. Hurts was a finalist, going to play for a Super Bowl championship a week from today. But my point is, when you're coming back and you've got that continuity and you know them and you were a highly recruited, a lot of expectations, fairly and rightfully so. All right, going into year 2, I don't think you have to win the Heisman. I don't think you have to be an All-American. But now the defense is going to take steps forward based on how much better Dylan is in year 2 versus year 1. Like, our opportunity to win 8 games versus 6 games versus 10 games isn't all on Dylan. But it is the most important position on the football field, right behind defensive end, #biased quote, is the most important position on the field. And the better he plays, the more improvements he makes, and the faster he makes them, the larger those improvements are, or that he doesn't make, will directly affect our impact to either make that year 3 jump that Matt Rhule's been talking about or not, more than anything else on this team. The offensive line as well. How does John Butler do on defense? Can we just be average on special teams? But if I'm Dylan, and Sean Callahan mentioned this, he wants to be a lot like Patrick Mahomes. That's fine, to each their own. I think be your own man, but hey, you got someone you look up to. That's cool. The biggest difference I see physically between Patrick and Dylan, Sean Callahan and I talked about this in our interview last week, was about 15 to 20 pounds, about 15 pounds. I think if Dylan could lose about 15 pounds, and if you're a competitive athlete and you're trying to be a top flight athlete and you're trying to win a championship and you're getting paid 6-7 figures, this is very fair to talk about. I'm trying to lose weight myself. I look in the mirror and I'm like, I want to see less of this. So I'm trying to lose it myself. So if somebody's offended by this, you're in the wrong sport doing the wrong thing and you shouldn't be getting paid as much. I'm not saying that he is or isn't, but if somebody does, this is fair to talk about. For me, losing about 15 pounds will help him be quicker, a little bit faster, learning when to slide, learning when to take off at the appropriate times, being quicker and doing it, having a little bit quicker feet. Okay, things of that nature I think would help. All right. Let's see what else I've got here. I think that was my main thing on Dylan. This isn't some big gargantuan deal. He's not one of the top 10 returning quarterbacks in the country based on some of these preseason things here in frickin' January. But it should be motivation. Like, I'm a talented dude if I'm Dylan. I want to be on some of those lists. How do I get there? And if you're a Nebraska fan, Nebraska will either take a year 3 jump or not due to the offensive line, defense, special teams, also based on how big the improvement is for Dylan, whether how big it is or is not as well. That's all I'm saying with that. All right, let me see here. People are still talking about the offensive line, excited about Rocco. All right, Nathan Johnson says Dylan Heisman run next season. I'm not saying he can't do it. What I'm saying is I don't expect that. I expect him to take a big jump from year 1 to year 2, just like RHULE wants to take a big jump under his tenure as a coach from year 2 to year 3. And it is fair to expect that. Year 3 under Dylan, now we start talking different level things. I want to see a big jump. And he could be amongst some of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten. I think that is a fair thing to be talking about. You start going national and things of that nature. Let's just see. Let's just get better incrementally and noticeably and consistently. All right. Let's see what else I've got here. Got about 3 or 4 minutes. I thought this was cool. They changed the end zones in the Hawk Center. Okay, this is via Hail Varsity on X. They're all red now. Didn't used to look like that. Some people might not like that. I actually thought it was pretty cool. So I thought I'd just point that out to everyone here. All right. The spring game is not going to be what it was. They don't know what it's going to look like. They're just saying the last practice is going to be April 26th. Nebraska's 15th spring practice. Their last practice is April 26th. Spring practice starts the week of March 26th and goes for about 5 weeks. All right. Matt, this is per on 3. I don't know if canceling is the right word. There's been a debate about, well, is that the right word or not? It's going to look different. But here's what they said. Matt RHULE is considering canceling Nebraska's spring game due to tampering. And I quote, "It's really because last year we were one of the most televised spring games, and I dealt with a lot of people offering our players a lot of opportunities after that." And I remember that. He specifically brought up Fedoni and how a bunch of people were trying to get him, and the players were showing him texts of coaches blatantly tampering and trying to get his players. The word tampering doesn't exist anymore, he said. And he's right. It's just football, unfortunately. All right. It's just absolute free, open, common market. I don't necessarily want to open it up to the outside world, end quote. Another thing he said, to me, it's about protecting the roster, end quote. So when Troy Dannen talked about this, by the way, I really think Troy Dannen's doing a good job so far. So shout out to Troy. But he kind of alluded to the 2 ACLs that were torn last year in our spring game. All right. Bly Hill, Demetrius Bell, their seasons were basically ended. And I kind of explained away on the Adam Carriker show on the ticket the way you can do the spring game and not to worry about injuries as much. From the starters only playing 15 plays, like the first preseason game for NFL starters, or while they're in, you just don't blitz. You can play a bunch of other guys as the game goes along. Now, we are short offensive linemen due to a lot of these offseason surgeries. Okay, from Leptovsky to Corcoran now had surgery on his hamstring as well. I don't know what the status of Prohaska is. He probably wouldn't be back in time. Okay, the thing I would say is those younger guys need a lot of reps. There were spring games when I was young. I didn't come out the freaking field. So I don't feel bad for young guys trying to earn their spot, getting a bunch of reps. So the starters could play 15 snaps, just like a first preseason game of the year. The quarterbacks can wear the green jerseys, which I hate, but it's a new day and age, whatever. Wear the green jerseys so they don't get hit. And while your starters are in, you don't blitz. I outlined all that. I didn't really buy into the injury thing. The tampering thing. That I get. It's a dirty world, and it's just accepted as normal. That I understand. Guys that other universities may not be aware of get a bunch of playing time. Then they watch them on television. They're like, hey, let's go after that guy. That I can understand. My instant thought was, well, just don't televise the game. Somebody could probably still come into the stadium, and no, I'm not going to go down the Connor Stallions rabbit hole. Somebody could still get clips. Just don't televise the game. I understood the concern with injuries. I had a hard time getting behind it because there's a way to have a spring game without a whole lot of concern. Senior Bowl still happens. East-West Shrine Bowl still happens. Those guys are a lot closer to getting drafted than guys going through a spring game. While I understood the concern, I was like, yeah, the tampering thing, I get that. I can understand that a lot more. I coach in youth sports. I've seen coaches offer 9-year-olds money to leave a team and come join their team. It is pathetic, sad, and true. I can only imagine what Matt RHULE has dealt with. I get behind that a little bit more. What I wonder is what are they going to do differently? Is it a Pro Bowl style skills competition? Is it 7-on-7? Is it, I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, better be good, because the spring game was a big deal here at Nebraska. But I understand it more now that Matt RHULE outlined the tampering, which is absolutely happening. And if it's on TV, now you got to defend a fight to keep your whole roster. I don't know. If you don't put it on TV, how many people would see it? But that I could understand a little bit more. All right. Let me see here. Okie drill would be fun with the offensive linemen, doing some Okie drill, maybe one-on-one pass rush, maybe flag football with the skill guys. You can still rep your plays and your coverages. I don't know, just some thoughts. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow me on X. You can follow me on TikTok. You can follow me on the gram of Instagram. You can follow me on Facebook. And if you want to bring me in, now that we're in Lincoln, to do some speeches or do an appearance, you're putting on an event, you can go to carrikerchronicles.com. You can go to contact us. Boom, there'll be a drop down folder. It's up top, and you can shoot us a message, and maybe we can work something out. Here are my questions for you fine folks at home. I got 3. Number 1, do you now feel good about our offensive line? Yes or no? Are we still missing a piece or two, or do you feel good about it as is right now? Number 2, at the end of the year, will people view Dylan Raiola as he would have been one of the top returning starting quarterbacks in the country when this season is over and we're all done playing football? Number 3, are you good with no typical spring game or not? Let me know in the comments below. All right. And until next time, Husker Nation, go Big Red. I've never got reaction with my kids running around the background. That's a first. I've had them next to me and in my lap. Actually ran across the gut reaction I did years ago where the twins were like 1 month old and I was trying to hold them and talk. That was fun. All right. Till next time, go Big Red. And always remember to throw the ball.